Friday night 2026. You check your bank account. You check your cart. And suddenly you're doing math you didn't plan on doing. How to add beer, weed, cigarettes? Welcome to the Vice Reset of 2026. The year inflation is not just about groceries and gas. It's coming for our relaxation mechanisms. Because here's the plot twist. Not all vices are inflating the same way. One is getting cheaper. One is quietly getting more expensive. And one has officially entered luxury item territory. Let's break down what the data says about cannabis, alcohol, and cigarettes, and what your weekend habits might look like going forward. Let's start with marijuana. The weedflation paradox. If you live in a recreational legal cannabis market like California, Oregon, and Michigan, you've probably noticed something strange. Prices are falling. Fast. Since 2021, average legal cannabis prices are down roughly 30 to 35%, driven by chronic oversupply. Wholesale flower prices that once topped $1,000 per pound have dropped to $250 or less in some regions. On paper, that sounds great for consumers. But here's the paradox. Despite cheaper weed, about 2/3 of consumers reported spending less on cannabis in late 2025, and now going into 2026. Why? Because inflation on rent, food, insurance, and utilities have first claim on the paycheck. So even with cheaper grams, cannabis is competing with basic survival costs. Meanwhile, the U.S. legal cannabis market is still projected to hit around $42 billion in sales in 2026. But the growth isn't coming from the West anymore. It's coming from newly legalized Northeast and Mid-Atlantic markets. And behind the scenes, many major cannabis operators are facing a serious debt wall in 2026, with limited access to capital and no federal bankruptcy protection. Translation: cheaper weed now, fewer players later. Now let's talk about alcohol's identity crisis, because alcohol is having an existential moment. Overall, alcohol sales volumes have been declining for years, and 2026 is no exception. Beer sales are projected to fall by about $185 million, while wine and spirits combined could drop another $250+ million. But this isn't just about price. It's about behavior. Consumers aren't necessarily quitting. They're trading down, cutting back, or switching lanes entirely. Enter the rise of no-alcohol and low-alcohol spirits, THC-infused and hemp-based social drinks. This is the broader, mindful drinking movement. As for alcohol in 2026, the U.S. inflation for alcohol prices are likely to follow near-normal historical trends of about 2.8% annually. So don't expect sticker shock, but do expect steady, incremental increases. In short, people are drinking less and being more intentional about what they drink. Okay, let's look at cigarettes. The last stand. Now let's talk about the one vice that inflation hit hardest: cigarettes. For years, tobacco companies have followed the price over volume strategy of raising prices to offset fewer smokers. In 2025, major manufacturers implemented multiple price hikes. In 2026, that strategy is accelerating. Why? Because smoking volumes continue to decline by roughly 2% per year, but manufacturers and governments still want the revenue. Add in state-level tax hikes. Over half of U.S. states considered new tobacco taxes in 2025 and 2026. And suddenly, a single pack in some states now pushes $12 or more. That's not a habit anymore. That's a subscription. Globally, the cigarette market is still projected to reach nearly $1 trillion in value by 2026. Not because more people are smoking, but because prices keep climbing. Smokers are responding the only way they can, downtrading to cheaper brands, or looking for alternatives. And finally, the pivot. Nicotine goes high-tech. This brings us to the quiet winner of the Vice Reset: nicotine without smoke. Nicotine pouches, like Zyn, have exploded in popularity. The global market is now valued at over $7.6 billion, growing rapidly as smokers look for cheaper, cleaner, and more socially acceptable options. No combustion, no smoke smell, lower taxes in many states. In a high inflation environment, cost efficiency matters, even for bad habits. And nicotine pouches check all the boxes. So here's the big picture. 2026 isn't just another inflation year. It's a reset point. Cannabis is cheap, but fragile. Alcohol is stable, but shrinking. Cigarettes are expensive, taxed, and slowly being phased out by economics alone. The real story on vices isn't inflation, it's behavioral change. People are redefining value. They're microdosing, moderating, switching formats, or walking away entirely. So the question isn't, what does your vice cost in 2026? It's, which vice still fits your budget and your lifestyle? What are you seeing where you live? Are you spending more or less on cannabis, alcohol, or cigarettes in 2026? Drop your experience in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more data-driven breakdowns of all the changes quietly reshaping our everyday life.